Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to watch a man walk into power wearing a red cloak, a golden laurel, and the kind of smug grin that only comes from conquering half of Europe. You're in Rome streets packed, coins stamped with your face, and senators sweating under their togas. So, when you're comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I'm doing here. Now, let's get started. You're Julius Caesar, and let's be honest, you're kind of a big deal. Not just because of your military brilliance or your I came, I saw, I conquered flex. You've turned loyalty into an art form. Your soldiers adore you. The common folk throw flowers at your feet. Even the Senate, for a while, tolerates you because you keep winning wars and sending home treasure. But power doesn't sit quietly in the corner, and neither do you. You start stacking political moves like a gambler with a lucky streak. First, you snag Gaul. Then you waltz across the Rubicon with your army, a big no-no, by the way, and basically declare, I'm home, and I brought 40,000 friends. Rome panics. Pompey, your former ally, bolts. Civil war breaks out, and you crush it. Authoritative historical fact. In 49 BCE, Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon River with his legion was seen as a declaration of war against the Roman Senate, a turning point in Roman history. The Senate starts seeing you not as a hero, but as a ticking time bomb wrapped in charisma. But you're busy rebuilding. You pardon enemies. You reform the calendar. You centralize power. And, oh, right, you're now dictator for life. The term sounds nice until you realize the Republic was kind of allergic to monarchs. The last guy who tried that? Yeah, it didn't end well. Now you ride in chariots during parades like a god king. People cheer, senators squirm. There's a statue of you in the forum. There are rumors you want a crown. Your face is literally everywhere. Brutus smiles at you in public. Cassius claps at your speeches, but their hands, busy writing letters, whispering in corners, plotting something that even your military genius won't see coming. You ignore the signs because you think you're untouchable. And maybe, just maybe, that's the fatal flaw. Historians still debate whether Caesar truly intended to make himself king, or whether his actions were twisted to fit the fears of the Senate elite. Some believe he was still a Republican at heart. Others think he was laying bricks for an imperial throne. Either way, you don't notice or don't care that the room is getting colder. Whispers rise in volume. Old enemies align with former friends. Senators who once knelt now stand straighter when you enter. There's tension in the Senate, like lightning before a storm. And you joke about being late to your own assassination. It kills at dinner parties. Meanwhile, the people love you so much they name a whole month after you. You go from Gaius Julius Caesar to the man whose name becomes Caesar, as in ruler, forever. You walk the streets like a celebrity, garlands tossed at your feet, applause echoing from the stone walls. But up in the balconies, some senators start watching your every move. There's a rumor again that you're going to crown yourself at the next public ceremony. Another that you plan to abolish the Senate altogether. And another, quieter one, that you already have. Paranoia blooms. In truth, you're exhausted. Years of war, betrayal, long marches, and ambitious reforms have worn you thin. But you keep moving. Because what else is left but forward? You tell yourself they need you. You believe it. Your last few public appearances, they feel tense. You notice it, but you wave. Smile, shake hands, grip arms, tell jokes. Your personal guard is thinner these days. Why? Because you trust the Senate. Spoiler, you shouldn't. Your wife Calpurnia has nightmares. The night before a Senate meeting, she begs you not to go. Says she saw a fountain running red. Saw your statue bleeding. Saw you falling. You laugh it off. It's just the Ides of March, you joke. The next day, the sun rises warm. There's a crowd waiting. Rome wakes up to the smell of baked bread and the sound of sandals scraping cobblestones. You put on your best toga, the white one with the deep crimson stripe. You adjust your laurel wreath. It's a bit heavy, but hey, greatness has weight. And once again, you walk into the lion's den with confidence. The Senate doors open, and all of Rome holds its breath. You walk into the theater of Pompey like it's just another Senate session, just another morning of pretending the Republic still works. The air inside is dusty, filtered through sunlight that cuts in from high arched windows. You recognize everyone here. Too many smiles. Too many fixed stares. It's the kind of quiet you get before a speech or an ambush. You take your seat. They surround you casually, like old friends gathering for a chat. Brutus, Cassius, Casca, Trebonius is already working the doorway. Nobody's in a hurry. Except they are. Cassius leans forward and says something forgettable. Casca chuckles too quickly. You glance at Brutus, your old protege, practically a son. His face? Stone. Then suddenly, a tug at your toga. A dagger flashes. And just like that, the illusion shatters. You lurch back, your chair scraping marble. The room explodes into motion. Hands you once shook are now thrusting knives. Toga folds turn red. Your voice chokes on confusion more than pain. You don't even try to flee. Why would you? They're your friends. Authoritative historical fact. On March 15th, 44 BCE, the infamous Ides of March Julius Caesar was attacked by a group of more than 60 senators. He was stabbed 23 times, with only one wound considered fatal. Casca stabs first, but it's awkward. You spin, maybe to stand, maybe to plead. Then more blades come. Cassius, Decimus, even tiny Metellus. The air is full of rustling fabric, whispers, gasps, your own blood-splashing stone. It isn't a clean job. This isn't some ritualistic execution. It's a frenzy in white linen. You lock eyes with Brutus, who hesitates, just one heartbeat. Then he steps forward. You exhale something like a laugh, but it sounds wrong, wet. Et tu, Brute? You don't shout it. You barely breathe it. It's not a curse. It's heartbreak. It's the sound of someone realizing the worst part of betrayal is that you trusted them. And then, darkness. Or something close. The room is silent now. Your body slumps to the floor, blood pooling around the folds of your toga. Some senators back away in horror. Others check if anyone saw. A few linger too long, pretending it was noble, like the Republic demanded it. But none of them feel noble. There's no cheering, no speech, just heavy, panicked breathing and the rustle of sandals as they scatter like rats. The theater empties. You lie there. Still. Legendary. Somebody kicks your arm trying to leave. Brutus stays a little longer, staring. His face is pale. He doesn't look like a liberator. He looks like a man who just broke something that can't be fixed. Historians still debate whether Brutus genuinely believed killing you would save the Republic, or if he hesitated all along and let ambition win. Was it patriotism, guilt, or just fear of being left out of the next chapter? The answer probably died with him. Your body is left there for hours. No public funeral. No honor. Eventually, a few slaves carry you home. People peek through windows. Rumors spread fast in Rome, faster than the blood that still hasn't dried in the Senate chamber. Mark Antony hears. He doesn't cry. He calculates. Then he stands before the crowd the next day and flips the narrative so hard it leaves skid marks in history. He loved you. He gave you everything. They murdered him. By the time he's done, the mob wants heads. Brutus and Cassius, they expected gratitude. What they get is a riot. The flames that consume Rome aren't metaphorical anymore. Your death doesn't bring peace. It brings Mark Antony, Octavian, and a whole new flavor of civil war. But you won't see that. You'll just become a cautionary tale told in classrooms for centuries. A name turned adjective. Caesar becomes Kaiser, becomes Czar. You were trying to save Rome, or maybe just yourself. In the end, you birthed something bigger and darker. But in this moment, as your blood still stains the marble, you're just a man, surprised, betrayed, alone. And the Republic, bleeding beside you, won't survive much longer either. There's no thunderclap, no divine voice from the sky. Just the low mutter of a stunned city waking up to a corpse in a crimson-stained toga. Yes, you are lying in your own blood on the Senate floor, and Rome? Rome is buzzing like a kicked beehive. Word spreads fast. Too fast. The Senate tries damage control. They issue a statement. Something cold, something Roman. The tyrant has been removed. That sort of thing. But nobody's buying it. The people don't see a tyrant. They see their champion, the man who gave them land, jobs, food, and a reason to cheer in the forum. You weren't just a leader, you were a spectacle. You gave them gladiators, gold, and calendar reform. What did Brutus give them? A corpse and a promise. And nobody trusts a promise made with a dagger still dripping. Authoritative historical fact. Caesar's assassination was followed by widespread public grief. His funeral turned into a political wildfire when Mark Antony read his will aloud and incited the crowd with a fiery speech. The Ides of March pass. Your body is burned in the Forum, not buried quietly like the Senate hoped. Mark Antony makes sure of that. He climbs up, scroll in hand, and turns your death into theater. He holds up your bloodied toga, shows the holes, reads your will loudly. The crowd finds out you left money for every Roman citizen, left parks for the public, left your gardens, your estates, your everything to them. It's a masterclass in emotional manipulation. The crowd howls. Someone throws a torch on your funeral pyre. Then someone else throws another. And just like that, the ashes of Julius Caesar light up the Forum and half the Republic. People riot. Senators flee. The liberators aren't celebrated, they're hunted. Brutus and Cassius, they vanish into the countryside, writing long letters justifying their actions like exiles with a guilt complex. Meanwhile, Mark Antony steps up like an understudy handed the lead role. Except he's not alone. Enter Gaius Octavius, 17 years old, your grandnephew, barely out of sandals. But oh, this boy's ambitious. You adopted him in your will. Now he's Octavian, Caesar's heir, and he wants it all. Rome becomes a chessboard, and your ghost hovers over every piece. Octavian and Antony form an uneasy alliance. They even bring in Lepidus, because apparently 3 men make a triumvirate sound legit. Their first job? Avenging you. It's called the Lex Pedia, a law that says, if you killed Caesar, we kill you. Simple. Elegant, deadly. The Senate? Powerless. The Republic? Paper thin. What Brutus and Cassius tried to protect is now disintegrating faster than fresh parchment in a rainstorm. Historians still debate whether Caesar's assassination truly delayed dictatorship or simply accelerated it. Did they pause the fall of the Republic or hand Octavian the excuse he needed to destroy it forever? Either way, war is coming. The liberators raise armies in the east. Octavian and Antony rally the west. You're long dead, but somehow your shadow marches with every legion. At the Battle of Philippi in 42 BCE, Brutus and Cassius face off against Antony and Octavian. Two worlds collide. It's swords, mud, and vengeance. Brutus falls on his own sword. Cassius, too. And just like that, the last gasp of the old republic dies on a blood-soaked field far from Rome. Back in Rome, Octavian drops the grandnephew routine and starts going by Caesar. Eventually Augustus. And the Senate? Still around on paper, but now it votes exactly how he wants. Suddenly, there's no dictator. There's a princeps, first among equals, which is Roman for I'm in charge, but I'll pretend not to be. You'd admire it, honestly, because the Republic, it's gone, but the Empire, it's just getting started. And your name, Caesar, becomes more than a name. It becomes a title, a symbol. Future emperors don't just follow your example, they wear your name like armor. Germany gets Kaisers. Russia gets czars. All roads lead back to you. And to think, all of this from a meeting you should have skipped. So now you're gone, burned to ash in the forum. But you're also immortal. Marble statues rise. Coins shine with your face. Plays are written. Historians argue. Teenagers memorize the Ides of March because teachers insist it's important. And somewhere in a dusty library, your name keeps echoing. Not just Caesar, but the moment the Republic fell to a man wearing ambition like a second toga. It's been years now. Your ashes are long cold, but the world you left behind is still quaking. Rome didn't just shift, it transformed. The Republic, that grand old experiment in checks and balances, has been turned into a very shiny stage set, one where all the actors bow to a single name, Caesar. Sure, Octavian now. Augustus is technically playing it humble. First citizen, he says, servant of Rome. But let's be honest, the Senate only meets to applaud him. Coins bear his face. Statues of you stand beside him like you're his spiritual wingman. Funny thing is, the people still talk about you. Not Brutus, not Cassius, not even Augustus. It's your shadow cast across their colonnades. You're the cautionary tale that became a crown. Authoritative historical fact. After Caesar's death, Octavian established the Roman Empire in 27 BCE, becoming Rome's first emperor. Though he avoided the title of king, he consolidated absolute power and was referred to as Imperator Caesar Augustus. Your legacy? A little complicated. Some say you were a genius. Others, a power-hungry egomaniac in sandals. The Senate called you a tyrant. The people called you a god. Historians are still wrestling over which was closer to the truth. Historians still debate whether Caesar truly believed in restoring Rome's greatness, or if he simply couldn't resist the temptation of being the man to reshape it in his own image. But you're no longer around to clarify. The poets take their turn. Virgil, writing under Augustus, gently rebrands your story into a noble prequel to empire. Shakespeare, much later, turns your death into a theater of betrayal, honor, and irony. You become myth, legend, soundbite. Meanwhile, Rome keeps building. Aqueducts flow. Roads stretch like veins across Europe. Legions march, carrying your name like a banner. In distant provinces, governors invoke your image when justifying taxes or executions. In the name of Caesar, they say, even though the original Caesar is buried under several layers of politics, marble, and poetic license. You've become the face of an age you never got to see. And yet, beneath all the statues and silver coins, there's an undercurrent, an echo of that moment on the Senate floor. People remember the betrayal more than the glory. They remember Brutus because of you. They remember Cassius because of what they did to you. You've made villains and martyrs out of your enemies. sometimes both at once. Mark Antony, he overplayed his hand, got involved with Cleopatra, ended up losing the ultimate Roman popularity contest. Octavian made sure history remembered Antony as a lover, not a leader. Octavian rewrote the ending, but the beginning, that's still yours. Meanwhile, every few years, another ruler somewhere claims to be the new Caesar. Napoleon tries it. Charlemagne flirts with it. Even a few popes give it a go in their own ecclesiastical way. Because to say, I am Caesar, is to say, I command the world. Not bad for a man who once got kidnapped by pirates as a young general and demanded they increase his ransom. Which, yes, really happened. You didn't just write history, you left editors working overtime for centuries. Rome, in its new imperial form, becomes something strange and beautiful. Colossal amphitheaters. A bureaucracy so vast it makes the old republic look like a school club. And through it all, your name Caesar endures like an echo bouncing down a marble hallway. Not everyone loves what the empire becomes. Some say it was better when the Senate ruled, when elections mattered. Others say the empire brought Peace Pax Romana even if it came with fewer voting options and a lot more statues. But no one forgets how it started. You bleeding on the Senate floor, eyes on Brutus. Now, across the centuries, your legacy whispers in unexpected places. Some kid in 8th grade history class mispronounces your name. A general reads your campaign in Gaul like it's a strategy guide. Somewhere, in a quiet museum, someone stares at a bust of you and wonders what went so horribly or brilliantly wrong. They see your sharp nose, your high cheekbones, your stare, and they wonder, what was he thinking in that final moment? Not about power, not about glory, but about Brutus, and maybe about Rome itself. Because as much as you wanted to control it, shape it, love it, Rome is a city that devours its own legends. But oh, what a legend you became. You would have hated the marble tomb. Too quiet, too final. Rome doesn't do final very well, though. That's the thing. It pretends everything's etched in stone, but really, it's just carving versions of the same story again and again. You live. You rise. You fall. You return in names, in masks, in echoes. By now, the streets don't whisper about your murder. They chant your myth. You've become bigger than Caesar. You're the Caesar. Your temple stands in the Forum, not far from where your pyre burned. Pilgrims leave offerings there. Not prayers, exactly, just that strange, sticky mix of awe and nostalgia. The kind you get when you visit a ruin and imagine what once was. There's a statue of you, of course. Several, in fact. One hand raised like you're making a point. One foot forward like you're still marching through Gaul. But here's the kicker. The republic you died for, it's gone. Not in flames, not in protest. It just faded. Octavian ruled for decades. Peaceful, clever, ruthless. The senators eventually stopped pretending they had any power, and the people, they adjusted. Empires offer bread, circuses, and predictability. And that's what Rome became, a well-oiled machine wrapped in marble and memory. Your death was supposed to stop that. Instead, it started it. Authoritative historical fact. Augustus, Octavian, reigned as Rome's first emperor for over 40 years. Under his leadership, the Roman Empire expanded dramatically and entered a long period of relative peace known as the Pax Romana. Sometimes late at night, centuries later, people still talk about you like they know you. If I were Caesar, they say, if I had that kind of power. But no one talks about the loneliness of it, the endless decisions, the betrayal wrapped in a toga. You didn't die a tyrant, you died a man, a brilliant, flawed, ambitious, trusting man who walked into a Senate chamber believing he was immortal. And in a way, you were right. Historians still debate whether your assassination was truly about the Republic or simply a power grab dressed up in togas and fancy Latin. Whether Brutus believed in ideals or just didn't want to be left behind. Whatever the answer, it doesn't matter much anymore. The empire came. The Republic became a word in textbooks. And you became a time-stamped moral lesson. Eventually, Rome falls. Not in a single day, not even in a single century. It crumbles like old plaster. Western emperors grow weak. Barbarians knock on the gates. And the Senate, what's left of it, can't do much but sigh. But even as the bricks fall, your name sticks. Charlemagne crowns himself Emperor of the Romans. Byzantine rulers call themselves Basileus ton Romaeon Emperors of the Romans. Russian czars claim to be your spiritual heirs. The Third Rome, they call Moscow. And in every imperial dream, your name marches forward. Caesar, light joke number 2. You've been name-dropped more than most pop stars. And you didn't even have a TikTok account. So now, looking back, yes, this is your story. But it's also something more. It's the story of how power works, of how people can twist ideals into weapons, of how even legends are just people with bad instincts about friend groups. And maybe it's a story about how humans can't resist the shine of empire, even if it burns them in the end. Because when you died, Rome didn't fall. It crowned itself. And now you're here. Inside the marble, inside the books, inside every classroom that drags out the phrase, et tu, brute. One more time, you're a statue and a story, a warning and a wish, a man who became an empire. Let's pause now. Step back. The noise of the Senate is gone. The blood has dried. The statues no longer speak. Julius Caesar, man of ambition, architect of civil war, unintentional midwife to empire, has been buried, burned, mourned, praised, and politicized. His death didn't restore the Republic. It buried it. And yet, in trying to stop him from taking too much power, the Senate handed absolute power to his successors. That's the great Roman irony, isn't it? Every dagger meant to protect liberty carved the path to monarchy. Still, there's something deeply human in this story. The fear of change, the longing for stability, the sharp pain of betrayal, not from enemies, but from friends. We all want to believe we'd recognize the knife coming, that we'd hear the warning in time. But Caesar didn't, because he trusted them. And that, more than war or conquest or politics, is what people remember. The moment in a marble hall when power, loyalty, and fate collided under one high ceiling, and history took a turn. So the next time you hear someone quote Shakespeare, or mention the Ides of March, or say someone pulled a Brutus, you'll know the weight behind the words. Not just a murder, a transformation, a republic closing its eyes, and an empire opening them.